I am a big lover of rain. I love the sound of it and the atmosphere it creates. It just calms me down every time, even if it's cold. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Many people find the sound of rain extremely relaxing, especially when they try to sleep. However, it wasn't like that when I was still in kindergarten. I remember every time I was going to sleep and there was raining outside. Besides the sound of rain, I was hearing something more. Something that was coming from the hallway. I remember when I heard it for the first time, but it was always sounding like some kind of person whispering right behind my door. The weird part? I was hearing it only when it was raining during the night. I never told my mom about that, mostly because the whisper was usually lasting just a few minutes. I think I kinda got used to that after a while. Maybe it was just my imagination. Sadly, things took a big change one night. It was raining like usual, and I was sleeping when I started hearing that again. I ignored it, and as expected, it disappeared after a few minutes. I go back to sleep, only to hear something else shortly after. It was sounding like someone was scratching my door and the walls in the hallway, combined with a few whispers and some distorted crying. I cover my head with the blanket in fear, waiting for it to stop. I fell asleep eventually, but I can't remember exactly if the scratching and whispering stopped or I just ignored it. However, even to this day, I remember that dream I had that night. I was in my room trying to turn on the TV, but it wasn't working no matter how much I was pressing the button. I decided to get out of my room only to notice the hallway was looking like nobody lived in here for the past 50 years. Everything was ruined and water was pouring from the ceiling. I go to the living room, but right when I was ready to open the door, I heard the most horrible scream a man can make from outside my apartment. I run to the main door to look through the peephole, but it was too dark to see anything. I had no choice but to open the door. The door was already unlocked, so I opened it slowly, and here it was, the source of the scream. The hallway to my apartment was mostly dark, but there was still one light bulb flickering above a bald man who was just laying there, wearing a dirty work jumpsuit covered in ash. I slowly start to approach him to see if he's okay, and the man starts getting up from the ground. He wasn't really getting up himself, but he was mostly floating above the ground like someone was pulling him up with strings. His skin was all black and burned, with some skin completely lacking off his left cheek and the side of his head, exposing his flesh, and one of his ears was missing. His body starts to twitch violently with smoke coming from him while floating, desperately trying to say something but only screaming in agony. And I was just standing there not knowing what to do, just staring in his bloodied red eyes. I woke up. The sky's still covered in clouds from the last rain. From then, I never heard any creepy whispers or scratching during rainy nights, but I was still wondering who was that man in the dream. Apparently, there was a lonely man who lived in this apartment before me and my mom. A man who never had any kids or a wife. What happened with him and where is he now? Nobody knows, but I think I have an idea.